Hello, welcome to StereoPixel. In this video, I'm not going to teach you anything new in Blender, or this is not a video what you can call as a tutorial. But this is a very important video which I'm actually sharing with you because I felt this is really important for the people who really want to start with Blender. Now, as the headline says that how you should approach to learn Blender. Uh, I'm using Blender for a couple of years now, and I have seen the development for the last 2 years, and it really excited me a lot. And that's why you see in our channel that I have slowly start to incorporate the Blender videos also, apart from 3ds Max and Maya. Now, I have seen a lot of users or in the industry, a lot of people who are using either Max or Maya or even both, that by saying that Blender is very difficult to learn and all those stuffs. It's a very old thing that we have already heard about, that it's completely different. It's not having any conventional key settings or the user interface and all those stuffs. And when I started, I also felt sort of similar, but I keep hanging onto this particular software, and I felt that there is something wrong in me itself. It's not the software which actually stopping me to learn. It's something else. It's within me. Now, that is what we are going to discuss over here, and I would really appreciate that if you guys put your inputs in the comment section so that we can make this approach completely in a different way. Anyway, I am going to start with Blender 2.8 in coming times. I will show you what are the new things they have incorporated around. I know there are a lot of videos are already out there, but as it is a beta version, I would like to introduce you to Blender. But now let's come to that point that when we say that Blender is completely difficult to learn and all those stuffs. What is the difficult stuffs that you have actually faced? The majority of the people have said that the key settings and how you approach the shortcuts, all those things are completely out of the box for Blender, which I actually disagree. Now, I have opened up 3 different windows. One is Maya on the top left, top right is 3ds Max, and Blender. I'm not going to make a comparison out of it, but I want to give you some of my points which I felt while I was learning for the first time in Blender, which I felt if I thought like this, or I have approached like this to Blender, I think I could have been learned Blender way more easily or way more earlier than now. But anyway, so what is the difficult part of the Blender? A lot of people actually told me, my students also sometimes, that it's very difficult. Then I ask question that what is difficult. I said, I cannot understand how to move in the viewport. I mean, that's pretty obvious that you have to just middle mouse and you have to click and drag. That's it. So then they said, okay, but in Maya, it's Alt and normal left click like this. I said, if you go to Max, then it will be like only Alt and middle mouse. So it's already, all 3 are completely different. So one is only middle mouse, one is Alt and left click, and another one is Alt and middle mouse. So you don't see any similarities between these two. So how can you say that Blender is completely difficult? difficult to learning than Max or Maya. So then I come to the point that then they actually told me that, you know what, we can select the object with the left click. There I do agree, you know, that is something which an industry has been standardized on almost all the 3D packages. Now Blender 2.8 has actually come up with the solution, and they said yes, you can select with your left click also if you don't want to. But hey, that cannot be the reason that you cannot start with a software which is so potentially powerful. I mean, that's really bad mentality, I feel. Then they said, you know, I can create objects, I can edit them in a so easy way. I thought I said like, and say I can select any polymodeling, like, you know, creating any object, and go to the edit mode, like right click on them and go to face. I can select the face and all. I say did you ever consider the comparison between Max and Maya? So I can click the box, I have to click, then I have to go to maybe an edit poly mode, and or maybe apply an edit poly modifier. Then I have to go to the vertex mode by pressing, maybe selecting from here, or maybe by pressing 1, you know, or maybe right click and convert to editable poly, and then go to 1 and go or maybe 4 for selecting a mesh. Then how Max or Maya are not different with each other than Blender? What's the difference? What's the similarity? I don't see any similarities. Completely different. And I know that other I'm not comparing these three. I'm just giving an example. Every 3D software has its own way to approach towards a certain goal, and I never seen you guys complaining about, oh, Max is so hard, or maybe Maya is so hard, because it is not. They are different. That's how they works. That's the architect of that particular software. And I really don't understand that why you guys are so hard on this particular software called Blender. And they said, okay, I don't know, I mean, we don't felt good about it. I mean, that's a biasness, that's, you cannot say. Yes, they are different. I'm not saying that's an easy thing to do, but it's not difficult. It's not impossible, it's not difficult. Yes, it is different than Max or different than Maya. That you can say. Here also, if I go to, if I want to, in Blender, if I want to go to a sub-object level of any model, I just have to press tab, and that's it. I can select it. So now, it's actually, we can access the same things, same I mean sub-object levels like vertex or edge or face. It's nothing similar, I mean, Max and Maya or Blender. So why Blender is difficult and not Max and Maya? Now there comes one more thing, that is, move, rotate and scale version. Now yes, there is something which is similar to Max and Maya, is the move, rotate and scale, like W, E, you can see E and R. The similar will be W, E and R. Here we cannot do something like that, but here we have G, R and S for scale. And nowadays for 2.8 they have given, like, specifically I would really love to go to shift spacebar to select the move tool, so that I can get the gizmos also. So shift and spacebar for rotate, or S for scaling. So it's already there. And yes, this is something similar between Max and Maya, with Max and Maya, but that cannot be the only reason. Sorry, that cannot be the only reason that is holding you up. Apart from these, now if you go to the sub-object level editing in Max, like if you want to extrude, you can just right click and go to extrude, and immediately you can actually extrude that stuff. That's fantastic. Here you cannot do something like that until unless now Maya has incorporated shift and drag. Blender, on the other hand, don't actually use similar stuffs, but still you can actually use E for extrude. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So select the face and E for extrude. Select the vertex or edge, and then you can go with the extrude in a similar way, or select the face and press E and extrude, exactly like what you have done in Max or Maya. So I don't see, yes, it's different, but all three of them are different approach. For Max, it's completely different. For Maya, it's completely different. For Blender, it's completely different. There is no connection. There is no similarities between these three softwares. But still, people actually a little harsh on Blender. I'm not supporting Blender first of all right now, but I want to support you guys when you say Blender is difficult to learn. No, it's different. So you have to take the approach completely differently. I'm not going to make a whole comparison of all these softwares, because for me, as I have started for almost a decade ago, more than a decade, and I used 3ds Max and Maya. Both of them are very good softwares, and I have used them for a very long time. And now, even now also I'm using. But when I started learning something new, which is having a very good potential for being an industry standard software, I really feel bad that the guys who are behind this, and they are working really fantastically to develop this particular software. We should use you should judge in a way where we can actually having a fair judgment, rather than hardening on them, saying that, you know what, your software is not industry standard, or maybe the way it is actually works are not user friendly or something like that. See the current movie that has those guys has been developed, called Spring. It's brilliant, and they have used only Blender, nothing else. So if you can understand the potentiality of that particular software, then I think you need to know how this particular software actually works. So on that note, I am going to ask you a simple question, that is it the software which is hard to learn, or it is you who is blocking your mind to learning a particular new software which is tremendously potential? I'm leaving this to you. And remember one thing, it's not about only these three softwares are in the market. There are a lot of other softwares. There are ZBrush, which is completely different than all three of these. There are Photoshop, which is completely different purpose, but you still learn. In Photoshop, if you want to move something, you have to press V. That's not W. That's not E or R for rotate. You have to go for some completely different approach, like Control T for transforming the image. So whenever you are actually using a certain software, I can share one more thing with you guys. When I was using Max and Maya, or maybe coming back and forth from Max and Maya, is a space bar. So in Max, in Maya, if you hit space bar, you know that it's go to the perspective view, to the 4 view, and also the views are out there. But in Max, if you go and hit space bar, what happened is you lock the selection. you cannot unlock it until unless you are pressing the space bar again. So for 4 view you have to go Alt and W. So Alt W is the one which actually back and forth from 4 view. So it's completely different. There is nothing similar, completely different. Now if you want to go to an attribute editor, you have to go press Control A. Sorry, for Control A it's all select all. But if you are in Maya, if you hit Control A, the attribute editor will come up. So the approach is the construction of the of the softwares are completely different. The architecture of the softwares are completely different. So as in Blender, so I prescribe or you can say I suggest you that when you start learning a software, just open up your mind and think that this is the software, how it works. Whether you like it or not like it, that's a different thing. You never learned this before. You using Maya by spacebar you can go with different views. I have seen a lot of users of Macs. They said we are habituated with Alt W, so spacebar is completely different for us. Yes, that's true, but whenever you are using a certain software, you have to adapt the way it is working, and that is the only thing which is my suggestion to you guys, whoever are transforming from Maya or Max to Blender or any other software to Blender, or from Max or Maya to any other different softwares, that please try to understand how the software works, how we can achieve the goal, how we can do the stuffs that you are doing in Maya, that you are doing in Max. Just try to find out and adapt it with the software's architecture it is. I hope you understand the point that I'm trying to say. Again, I'm not a fanboy of Blender, but I believe that this software has a very good potential, which it has been proved for the last 3-4 years, starting from, let's say, Sintel, then Tears of Steel, then the recent movie of the Agent, and then the Spring. All of them are brilliant. So I believe that if you really want to develop your own skill set on a certain platform like Blender, I think you should be more open-minded than a biased person saying that, you know what, this is not a industry standard, or maybe this is not something user-friendly. I hope you understand this, and I hope enjoy this discussion. Please comment on the comment section what you feel about it. I know I am also not perfect one, but I believe that I've been able to make up a certain point which will help you guys to jump into Blender. And I will come with your Blender basic videos very soon, which is for 2.8, and hope you enjoy them too. Thank you very much.